It goes science. Yes, science is amazing. But not to me though, cause I am sick of waiting. I've been patient, I really have, I've been reasonable. Now it's time to say what I needed to. Dear science, cheers for the...
All right, let's talk science and technology and the sort of tech that's coming to your pocket or your house, or in some cases, maybe your farm. Matt Dickerson's with us now from Tech Talk the podcast. G'day, Matt.
Yeah, g'day, Nick. How you going?
Going very well. How is it that Aussie farm dams could actually be hidden batteries? Please explain.
Very clever people, Nick, working on what I call the new economy, a whole range of different solutions that we'll come up with as renewable energy starts to take over and become an important part of our overall life. Now, in France, they have got an example of a building where they were collecting water on the rooftop in normal gutters and sending it down into the stormwater system. And they thought maybe we can do something better with that water. We could have a reservoir at the bottom of the building and we've got the capture of the water at the top. And just like the Snowy Hydro scheme, we could drop that water down and generate some electricity. And when we've got too much power, solar power, for example, in the middle of the day, pump it back up to the top of the roof. So they just needed two reservoirs, not that big, and a bit of gravity or gravitation or elevation between the two. And then researchers in Australia started looking at the same type of thing on farms in Australia. And there are lots of farms that have got small dams. Now, they're small in the landscape of the farm, but there's enough water there to be able to be using that for storage of electricity. And they started looking for a couple of different things. They needed somewhere that had a 17% slope between two dams. They needed to be within about 500 metres of each other, and they needed the capacity of 24 kilowatt hours, and I don't know how many litres of water that translates to. But when they looked at those three parameters, they found 30,000 suitable reservoir pairs across the nation, and the average power storage is about 30 kilowatt hours. Now, to give you an idea, 3.5 kilowatt hours of electricity would keep the average family home going for several hours. So 30 kilowatt hours would keep it going for over a day. And so this may well be part of our overall landscape going forward. Forget about lithium-ion batteries in the garage. Forget about large storage systems. It might be lots of micro pumped hydro energy storage systems across the nation. And another way, Nick, this is the exciting part, for farmers to get some off-farm income that's a more reliable form of off-farm income.
So they've got to be in pairs. The French did it with a building. And I suppose there's a kind of a smart electrical system which determines when you've got what you might call excess power, which is a small version of what they're doing in Snowy Hydro 2.0, right? That's
exactly, you're spot on. It's a big version there in Snowy Hydro, but we could do lots of small versions of that as well.
Well, you know, a big version of Snowy Hydro, when we eventually figure out how to unstick the tunnel boring machine out of the middle of a mountain, which it is currently. Anyway, we might talk about the technology of tunnel boring sometime. Now, here's another one. We did a story a little while ago, Matt, about one of our local musical groups, this folk duo, called We Mavericks. And they'd released an album on all of the different streaming platforms. And we found that there was this scurrilous person releasing their album under her name. We don't know whether it was a bot or an actual name. And all they've done is slightly pitch shifted the music. So the Spotify algorithm doesn't spot it, but they're essentially making money out of someone else's music, literally trying to game the system. Now, what's the latest on Spotify and gaming the system?
And that's the big question, how much were they going to generate? And I've got some bad news for you. I know your retirement plans were to go and sit in the hills, make some music, drop it on Spotify, and sit back and rake in the royalties. That may still be your retirement plan, but some people were of the belief that they only needed to put one 30-second track on Spotify and then stick a computer in the corner of their bedroom, have that play that track over and over and over, 24 hours a day, and the reports on the internet, so it must be true, Nick, were that you could generate about $1,600 per month from that computer sitting in a corner streaming that one song.
30-second track.
That's right. So $400 a week, basically, for your one bit of musical output. Now, the CEO of Spotify has come out and said, no, the algorithm is a little bit more complicated than that. It looks for unique IP addresses. It looks for unique plays. If it sees one computer just playing that over and over and over, they probably will get paid some money out of that, but it'll be more like a few cents more rather than a few $1,000s every month. So there's some pretty complicated algorithms, because what you're trying to do, Nick, is make sure that people do get rewarded fairly for the work they've put in. The old days of buying an album or buying a cassette or even buying an individual song like it used to be in the early days of streaming, that's all gone now. You just pay a monthly subscription. So you've got to have some way of fairly divvying out that money that Apple Music and Spotify, etc., that they generate. And the algorithm that they use is based on how many plays it gets and a whole range of other components to that. But trying to get that right is the really difficult part. But no, it's not as easy as stick a computer in the corner and just stream it over and over.
I don't know whether you know a band called Wolfpack.
No.
They're a New York funk band, fantastic band, and they were very successful just in terms of streams and YouTube views and the rest of it. Weren't making a lot of money, and so they tried gaming the system. It might have been 7 or 8 years ago now, by releasing a whole album of silence. Like total silence, and it went for several hours, and they just asked their fans to put this on overnight, over and over and over again, just to see if it could generate a bit more money for the band to pay them fairly, and it made them a heap. And
Well,
Spotify had to write a whole new series of code to stop people from putting silence out.
and if you got enough people to do it, that algorithm probably would respond to that, because it wouldn't know the difference between someone appealing to their fans and getting lots of people to play it and someone just doing it as a genuine thing, listening to music. So that would make sense. But having one computer play it over and over, it's probably not going to make enough of a difference. I mean, JP Morgan still estimates that up to 10% of all streams are fake. So people will still try and game it, even to the point where they might try and game it enough to move it up the rankings.
Fake as in sort of stolen, or like We Mavericks, or
No, more like trying to play it enough so that when someone sees the rankings, they go, oh, here's a new song that's bounced into the top 100. I'll go and have a listen to that. And then it creates its own momentum once it gets to a point where it's actually recognised by someone.
like a 30-second track just created for someone for the sake of gaming the system, rather than, hey, here's a nice bit of music.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And there's enough nice music out there that that's probably okay, but there's people still working on it. And so it's up to the Spotifys of the world to try and come up with systems to stop the gaming.
All right, good on you, Matt. Talk to you next week.
Thanks, Nick.
Matt Dickerson from Tech Talk, the podcast here at ABC Illawarra.